with the NBC Sports Bay Area app. Authentic moments live here on NBC Sports Bay Area.
This next one's for all you CarMax shoppers who just want to buy a car your way.
Want to check some cars out in person? Want to look some more from your house? Okay.
Want to pretend you know about engines?
Nah, I'll just chat with CarMax online instead.
Want to get pre-qualified from your couch? Woo! Want to get that car ASAP? You want to do it your way.
Want to drive? CarMax.
Say you're a coach in Chase Center and need to draw up a last-second play. Or you're a fan in Section 212 craving nachos. AI from Google Cloud can help with both. The Warriors are using AI from Google Cloud to break down every move on the court, helping coaches game plan. And for fans, the same AI powers the mobile app, giving you personalized content, highlights, and yes, nachos, ordered from your phone. With AI, you're always in the game, even off the court. Google Cloud, the official AI partner of the Golden State Warriors.
If your vibe is the earlier the better, Lowe's early Black Friday deals are a no-brainer. Get up to 35% off select major appliances, and rewards members get free delivery, haul-away, basic installation, and a 2-year Lowe's protection plan when you spend $2,500 or more on select LG major appliances. Valid through 11/4. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change. LG member offer excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, and Florida. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
1 in 8 women have thyroid issues.
Am I the one? I am kind of tired. I should see a doctor. Is it genetic? Does my health plan even cover tests like that? In-network? Out-of-network? Why is this always a whole big thing? Wait. I have Kaiser Permanente. So my coverage includes regular preventive care. Guess it doesn't have to be a whole big thing.
Kaiser Permanente. Healthcare that just works.
Make pet care stress-free with PetMeds, the leading online destination for your pet's health and wellness needs. From healthy, nutrient-packed foods and treats to top-branded flea and tick solutions like Simparica Trio, PetMeds has everything you will need to keep your pets healthy and happy, from puppy or kittens to senior stage. Don't miss Dr. Cuddle's Ready Rescue, a must-have detoxifier for emergencies. Visit PetMeds.com and use promo code WARRIORS for 25% off site-wide. PetMeds, care you trust to keep pets happy and healthy throughout their lives.
Dub Nation, this is Brandon Pajemski. Welcome back to the Warriors broadcast booth, presented by DoorDash.
R.C. Davis back with you briefly before we get to Mark Grandy. Our NBC Sports authentic moment of the game, former Warrior Ryan Rollins.
4 minutes to go. Rollins gets a pick. Switched on to by Horford. Step back three. Gets it back. A new career high for Ryan Rollins. He's got 27.
Rollins there with a career night. With Antetokounmpo out, the young guard stepped up in a big way with 32 points and 8 assists. Warriors next play Saturday versus the reigning Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers. 3:30 with the start time. Good night from Pfizer Forum. Bucks 120, Warriors 110.
Cool cars, cool people, good times. Cruise on out to the Good Guys 35th Fuel Curve Autumn Get-Together. November 8th and 9th at the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton. Over 2,500 of the Bay Area's coolest American-made and powered show cars and trucks of all years. Good Guys Autocross Racing action. A metal-crunching Hayward Firefighters Charity Demo Derby. Nitro Thunderfest and more. November 8th and 9th at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. Be there. Details at good-guys.com.
Hey, Dub Nation. If you're traveling to cheer on the Warriors this season, then the most important thing to pack is the United Airlines app. You can track your bags, change your flight or your seat, get a personalized map of the airport terminal, even talk to a live customer service agent. It's like having a travel agent in the palm of your hand for free. And yeah, that technically makes it a free agent. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
AM/PM is about to change things forever. Introducing the new AM/PM Taco 2-Pack. Available in 2 unique flavors, shredded chicken and slow-cooked carnitas. New, sleek, pillowy tortilla case wraps around a protein-packed core brought to life by our flavor-enhancing 6-hour slow-cooking process to deliver all-day value.
New Taco 2-Packs, only at AM/PM and only $5. AM/PM, too much good stuff. Plus tax where applicable. Prices and participation may vary. Terms and conditions apply.
Kia is the official automotive partner of the NBA. And we think about basketball a lot. The plays, the swagger, the glory, the game. And how we can elevate our own game with capability that takes us to another level. And ground clearance that propels us even higher. The 3-row 2025 Kia Telluride X-Line all-wheel drive. Kia, official vehicle partner of the Golden State Warriors. Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
15 years ago, PG&E launched Power Pathway, an education and job training program developed to increase the number of skilled workers in the energy industry. Since then, 85% of the graduates have been hired by PG&E or the construction utility industry, focusing on students in underserved communities, women, and military veterans. Power Pathway is helping the next generation of PG&E energy professionals build a better future for themselves and a clean energy future for California. To learn more, visit pge.com/powerpathway.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
To Curry, pump fake, fly by, 3-ball. Got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
You wish you were here.
Yes, it is. That was a rough one. Warriors out in Milwaukee. They fall to the Giannis-less Bucks, 120-110, the final. It was a little bit of surprising news about an hour before tip-off that Giannis was out in this game, was dealing with some knee soreness, but was listed as probable all day long. And then weirdly listed as out, and I know with the way a lot of your minds work, because it's the same way my mind works. Oh, this Warriors game just got a whole lot easier. No Giannis, right? I will tell you, I guarantee you that's not how Steve Kerr felt. Because if there's one thing I know about Steve Kerr, he hates it when opponent stars do not play versus the Warriors. And I think he talked about it post-game. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr coming up in a little bit, but welcome in. It's Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Bucks 120, Warriors 110. The loss in Portland last Friday, 6 nights ago, was pretty ugly, but it was more understandable. Back end of a back-to-back. You just had one in overtime versus Denver the night before. You were without Al Horford in that game. That was an ugly, not great performance by the Warriors. I get it. This one, though, takes the cake. I think this is officially the first real ugly loss of the year for the Warriors. Not on a back-to-back. They're down a superstar. You have everybody available other than DeAnthony Melton in this game. This is the game that you should have won, and you did not. Credit Milwaukee. Credit the former Warrior, Ryan Rollins. Ryan Rollins was absolutely amazing in this game. I'm not going to do a victory lap. I've always been a fan of Ryan Rollins. I felt the Warriors needed to go after him this offseason. Once the Milwaukee Bucks rescinded their qualifying offer from him, he was out there for the taking for anybody. Of course, ended up not happening. And I had a couple people laughing at me for that take that I thought Ryan Rollins would be a good acquisition. Whatever. That's a conversation for a different day. He was awesome in this game. The Bucks absolutely deserved to win, but the Warriors played ugly. The Warriors played ugly basketball today. They committed 22 turnovers. It led to 27 points for the Milwaukee Bucks. Honestly, it was amazing the Warriors were in this game. The Warriors in the fourth quarter, after a Steph Curry three, let me get the exact time right. Steph made a three off a Horford offensive rebound. That, by the way, was probably the only good thing Al Horford did today. He had a rough game. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. But Steph made a right wing three off an Al Horford three, offensive rebound, and that made it 106-104 Milwaukee with 4:03 left in the fourth. So 4 minutes to go in regulation, and the Warriors down by just 2. It is flat out a miracle that it was that close. Now, Milwaukee then turned it on, and they just dominated the rest of the way. Ryan Rollins immediately answered with a three. Then Miles Turner hit a three, so the 2-point lead balloons to an 8-point lead in like 30 seconds. AJ Green quickly made a three thereafter, then a Ryan Rollins mid-range jumper. Then he hit another three at the very end of the game, and the game was over really far before that. But it was a 2-point game with 4 minutes left. That is a miracle, because you look at this box score, and basketball is so much more than just the box score, but you look at a lot of these numbers. Warriors shot 42% from the field. The Bucks shot 48% from the field. And by the way, they shot 48% on more shot attempts. They got 11 more shots up than you, because you turned the ball over 22 times. They turned it over 16 times. That's honestly a big amount of turnovers for the team that won. 16 turnovers for Milwaukee, but that's 6 fewer than the Warriors. They got up 11 more shot attempts. They made 10 more attempts. Not only did they shoot more from the field, but they shot that larger number of attempts at a higher clip. So they had a major edge there. They shot a better percentage from downtown than you. They also made more. They were 41% from deep to the Warriors 34% from deep. They made 19 threes. The Warriors made 13 threes. That's a difference of 18 points right there just from the three-point line. So how was this a basketball game? Of course, again, you factor in the turnovers, 22 for the Warriors, 16 for the Milwaukee Bucks. Everything is pointing Milwaukee's way. So how was this a basketball game? How was this a 2-point game with 4 minutes left? There's one category. There is just one category that the Warriors dominated today. And honestly, if you're looking for a positive sign out of this game, this is it. Because there's not a lot of other things the Warriors did well in this game. But the Warriors masked a lot of their issues, and they had a 4-minute basketball game. I know it wasn't officially a tie game, but it was a 2-point game with 4 minutes left. That's a coin flip of a game with 4 minutes left, despite being thoroughly outplayed all game long. How the hell is that possible? Well, look no further than the free throw line. I know, Warrior fans, and I'm one of them. We like to, make fun of the Lakers or some of those other teams who rely on the free throw line a lot to win games and to stay competitive. The Lakers consistently are near the top of the league in terms of free throw differential. The amount of free throws they take versus the amount of free throws that they concede. They're generally very, very good in that statistic. If you are good in that statistic, you're generally going to be a good basketball team and you're going to win a lot of basketball games, because the free throw line can just hide so many other issues on your team. And that's what happened tonight. I know that it resulted in a win, but the Warriors dominated from the free throw line. They were 25 for 26 from the line. The Bucks were 9 for 13. So you doubled up them on attempts and you outscored them by 16 points from the free throw line. That alone just erases so many of the other problems. Now, it wasn't enough tonight. You still lost by 10. That speaks to how bad you were elsewhere and how good Milwaukee was elsewhere. But again, the fact that this was a basketball game on the road in Milwaukee, I know without Giannis, I know all of the qualifiers, but you play as poorly as the Warriors did tonight, you should not be in the game down the stretch. They were in the game down the stretch, which honestly, impressive in the context of the game, not impressive when you just zoom out and look at the game as a whole. But free throws was a big plus for the Warriors. And if they dominate that free throw battle for the majority of games going forward, they will be a very good team. but it was not enough today because the Warriors played really, really badly elsewhere. Again, 22 turnovers led to 27 points off turnovers for the Milwaukee Bucks. It was lazy. There were a lot of missed layups down in the paint. They were moving screens. There were travels. And then defensively, the Warriors, I thought, were pretty darn lazy as well. How many times, and it wasn't always off of a made basket, but at times it would be off of a miss and a quick rebound and an outlet. How many times would Ryan Rollins or AJ Green just beat the Warriors down the floor and get a transition bucket before the Warriors defense was even set? I can't count the number of times I heard Kalena or Fitz, if you're watching on the NBC Bay Area local television broadcast, Fitz and Buki on the call, just say, well, no one picked up the ball, and that led to an easy bucket. It felt like the Warriors... It felt like the Warriors, and it looked like the Warriors were playing on a back-to-back. That's what it looked like today. Kind of felt like the Warriors were stuck in the mud. They were slow. There wasn't as much energy, just to keep it simple, for the Warriors tonight. And you go on the road to Milwaukee without Giannis. You got a group of players who are probably, chomping at the bit to get their shots up, like Ryan Rollins, knowing without Giannis, I'm going to have every opportunity I can to score a lot of points tonight. Like, those are, I think trap game is a little unfair to Milwaukee, but that's kind of the way that this one played out. And it's what Steve Kerr has said numerous times. When the opposing superstar does not play against us, it's kind of natural human instinct to take your foot off the gas a little bit and say, all right, no Giannis. I mean, even with Giannis, this Milwaukee team probably isn't a title favorite. You take Giannis away, we should be able to beat this team handily. And then before you know it, you're down by 10 points in the first half, and you've given their crowd and their whole team belief and energy. And then you got an uphill climb. And the Warriors climbed back. They took a lead in the second quarter, and then Milwaukee immediately responds with a 12-0 run. You get back within 2 in the fourth quarter. Then Milwaukee goes three-pointer, 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 and the game's over. So that's kind of the way that this thing plays out. You would think after the amount of times that it has happened, you think back to last year, and actually kind of the reverse happened versus Milwaukee at home last year for the Warriors, but the game right before that Milwaukee game, it was the Warriors at home. I want to find the exact game, but I'm pretty sure I can remember this off the top of my head. At home versus the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets were playing without Nikola Jokic in that game. I believe it was relatively, I don't want to say like January or something. Let me see if I can find exactly when it was. No, here it is, actually in March. Oh, yeah, it's right. It was in the Jimmy Butler era. Jokic sits for the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets visiting the Warriors at Chase Center. Warriors lose that game by 9 points. That was when Aaron Gordon, let me look at the box score, I think he scored like 38 points without Jokic. Yeah, he scored 38 in that game. This was the game I went back to after the most recent Warriors-Nuggets game when the Warriors won and Aaron Gordon scored 50 because in the last couple of games that he's played, he's dominated the Warriors. But the Warriors lose that game. They were at full strength. They had Steph, they had Jimmy, they had Draymond, they had Moody, they had Kuminga, they had Looney, they had everyone was available in that game for the Warriors, and they lost to a Jokic-less Nuggets. And then what happens the next day, or the next game, and actually it was the next day, it was a back-to-back, Steve Kerr says, Steph Curry, you're mentally and physically exhausted. We're sitting you out on this back-to-back. You're not playing on the back end of this back-to-back against Giannis and the Bucks. And how do the Warriors respond? The next day, on the back end of a back-to-back, without Steph, they beat Milwaukee. So, like, what happened tonight isn't necessarily new, and I guess it shouldn't be terribly shocking, because that kind of stuff happens a lot in the NBA. But the Warriors absolutely need to play a whole lot better. And if they play like they did tonight, they're going to lose a lot of basketball games. What they did taking care of the basketball and what they did defensively was really, really bad. I mean, remember the second half versus the Clippers? Last time the Warriors played on Tuesday, they gave up 30 points in the second half. The second half. They gave up 34 points in the first quarter tonight. They gave up more points in the first quarter tonight than they did in the second half in total on Tuesday. And you did that to a team that, again, doesn't have Giannis, doesn't have Kevin Porter Jr. So, bad performance, ugly performance for the Warriors in this one. 888-957-9570. Mark Randy with you here on Warriors Wrap-Up. The Dubs lose to the Bucks 120 to 110. If you want to weigh in, give me a call, shoot me a text, 888-957-9570. Again, that's 888-957-9570. I've got my eyes on the Boxer and Gerson work injury attorneys text line. I see some texts coming in from the 510, the 414, another 510, the 415. Appreciate all the texts coming in. The 414 saying Ryan Rollins absolutely torches the Dubs defense, shaking my head. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Rollins was awesome in this game. And, like, there's going to be games where not a nobody. I don't want to be disrespectful to Ryan Rollins. I'm a fan of his. If you follow me on Twitter, you know how much I wanted the Warriors to go after him this offseason. And if you were listening earlier today to Willard and Dibbs, you heard me say, watch out for Ryan Rollins. He's not just like a former Warrior and a name that we know. He's legitimately a good basketball player. And if I knew Giannis was going to be out at that point, I would have told you he probably was scoring 20 plus. He ended up scoring 32, a new career high. He set back-to-back. He set career highs in back-to-back games for Milwaukee. He's a hell of a player. I did not expect 32 points from him, but oftentimes in games like this where you're either on a bad team or you're on a good team with a singular superstar, and that superstar sits, there will be games throughout the course of a year when, you know, a relatively unknown guy, an obscure NBA player, goes off for 30, and it happens. Oftentimes, it's because there's just so many free shots that open up. When the superstar goes out, so who's going to take all those shots to end those possessions? And oftentimes, you have a 30-point performance by a dude that puts up 27 shot attempts, and it's not efficient at all. What was amazing for Ryan Rollins was he scored 32 points on 21 shots, and he made 13 of them. He got to the line just 3 times, and he actually was bad at the free throw line, but he was amazing everywhere else. He was 1 for 3 from the stripe, 13 for 21 from the field, and 5 for 7 from downtown. He was incredible, and it wasn't just a I'm looking for my shot all day kind of game. He also had 8 assists and 3 rebounds. He was the best player on the floor tonight, in my opinion. The way that he controlled the tempo, he's also, I think, his best attribute, although maybe he's changing minds with his play right now. I think his best attribute is his length, his quickness, and his defense. He did a pretty good job on Steph Curry throughout this game. Steph had 27, but on 19 shots, he was 8 for 19 from the field, 4 for 10 from downtown. Largely, Steph, carried the Warriors offensively, particularly in that third and fourth quarter. But Ryan Rollins made it tough on him. So I was impressed. I've already was impressed with Ryan Rollins, even before this year, but definitely very much impressed with what he did tonight. And on both sides of the floor. It's not just about the 32 points. Also, it's about what he did defensively. I think what was really interesting about this game was the way the Warriors handled the Jonathan Kuminga situation, if you want to call it that. I thought Kuminga had himself an amazing first quarter. He was largely good for the majority of this game, much like Steph and much like almost every Warrior out there tonight. He turned the ball over too much. Both Kuminga and Steph had 5 turnovers. A couple of them for Kuminga, I think, were, just out of aggression. There was a couple where he drove, one where he tried to do a jump stop and then to jump towards the hoop, to explode towards the hoop off the jump stop, and he didn't get the timing right, so he had one foot land before the other on the jump stop, and then he took off. That's a travel. Got called for one there. Had another one where he thought that the ball got deflected away on a shot attempt, or maybe it was blocked. It was ruled that it wasn't, and then he caught his own shot, called for a travel, but if that was ruled a deflection, he would have had an easy putback there. So I'm not just going to write off, of course, all of Kuminga's turnovers. He had a couple that were just bad decisions, as almost every Warrior did tonight. Largely, though, I thought Kuminga was pretty darn good in this game. Now, what's really interesting, the way that this happened in the second half, was Kuminga was largely the reason the Warriors were in this game. I mean, what was it at halftime? The Warriors were down by just 2 points. It was 60-58 Milwaukee. Kuminga had 16 points at that point, 5 of 6 from the field, and 2 of 3 from downtown. Butler had 12, Steph had 11, but it was Kuminga who was keeping the Warriors in this game. And then he came out of the halftime break and was pretty good in the third quarter as well. Had a drive to the baseline, looked for a foul, didn't get it, but made a pretty acrobatic shot anyway. off of an inbound early in the third quarter, cut to the hoop from the left side on the block, got the inbound pass from, I believe it was Jimmy Butler, drew the foul on the shot attempt and made both free throws. He got to the line a lot in this game, was 8 for 8, made all of his free throws. And then he just disappeared. And I don't think it's the fault of Kuminga. The Warriors just did not go to him for the majority of the second half. In the fourth quarter alone, let me find my notes here specifically on this. So after three quarters, Jonathan Kuminga had 20 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown in 24 minutes played. So 20 points in 24 minutes and very, very effective and efficient in those 24 minutes. He got a couple of free throws early in the fourth quarter. He was backing down Cole Anthony from the left corner, showed some patience backing him down. This was early in the fourth quarter. And then ultimately kind of spun into the paint, and he caught Cole Anthony reaching, and he went up, caught his forearm, got called for the foul, and got to the free throw line and made a couple of free throws. That was the only action he had in the fourth quarter all the way until the 2-minute mark of the fourth. He didn't have a shot attempt until the 2-minute mark of the fourth quarter. He was the only Warriors starter having any kind of shooting night. In a night when the Warriors offensively were pretty darn challenged. I mean, again, Steph was 8 for 19. Jimmy Butler was 7 for 18. Draymond was 3 for 7. Al Horford was 1 for 6. You had, some okay shooting nights from Podziemski, who was 4 for 8, and Buddy Hield made a couple of threes. Good to see him get a couple go. He was 3 for 6, but those are largely just like spot shots here and there. From your legitimate offensive scorers, it was inefficiency from Steph and from Jimmy. Horford got up those 6 shots, made just one of them. Kuminga was your guy. Kuminga was the offensive fulcrum for the first half for the most part, and was by far and away your most efficient player. And for some reason, I don't understand why, he did not have a field goal attempt until the 2-minute mark of the fourth when the Warriors were already down 11. Makes no sense to me. He played 8 minutes in the fourth quarter before getting a shot attempt, and by the time he got his first shot attempt of the quarter, the game was over. I found that very odd. When Kuminga's going like that offensively, and he hasn't had it going like that offensively every game. Think back to Tuesday when he scored 9 points. I believe he was, 4 for 11 from the field? He's not going to have it going offensively every night like he did tonight. When he does, you take advantage. The number of times that he got Ryan Rollins switched onto him. And by the way, Ryan Rollins, 5 fouls in this game. He could have very easily fouled out. There were times when he was guarding Kuminga in that fourth quarter, and the Warriors, for whatever reason, did not give him the ball. That didn't make any sense to me. Now, I see this coming in on the YouTube chat powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Don Data says, JK playing his role. He's not there to score and take 20 shots. Yeah, not on a night in and night out basis. I understand that. But when he has it going and the rest of the offense is kind of stuck in the mud, take advantage of your dude that's got it going. And that's attacking mismatches. And that's getting out in transition. And that's getting to the free throw line. I talked about this earlier. I think the free throw line is the Warriors' cheat code, and it hasn't been that way for a very, very, very long time, if ever, in this era of Warriors basketball. They haven't really had that a lot. Kuminga tonight, 8 free throw attempts. There were 3 different Warriors with 8 free throw attempts. Kuminga was one of them, Butler was the other, and then Steph Curry. Steph was 7 for 8, Jimmy was 8 for 8, and Kuminga was 8 for 8. I don't know. Not saying that you got to feed Kuminga every trip down when you've got Steph and Jimmy on the floor, but I don't think there's an excuse for Jonathan Kuminga getting his first shot attempt in the fourth quarter, having played 8 minutes at that point until the 2-minute mark of the fourth when the game was already out of reach. You got to take advantage of your guy when he's going as good as he was today. Now, there were ugly turnovers. Steph Curry committed a few in the fourth quarter that were pretty bad. Draymond Green had a bad pass in the fourth quarter. It was a lot of sloppiness. And, getting the ball to Kuminga, not necessarily going to win you the basketball game. But I think you needed to lean on him just a little bit more. But still, even if you do that, it's not like this is a very good performance by the Warriors at all in this one. You didn't get a lot of help from the others, right? That's the other thing. It's one thing to go away from Kuminga. And again, I'm not saying 24/7, every possession down, post up Kuminga, one-on-one isolation. Like, I'm not saying that. And I think, to the credit of the Warriors offense, that's not how Kuminga got a ton of his offense in this game. Some of it was just attacking mismatches, and I love the way that he is doing that aggressively. But a lot of it was in transition. A lot of it was cutting from the baseline. Like, there was this great play on the right wing in the first half when Steph gets doubled. Steph kind of the wraparound pass with his right hand around the double team to a cutting Draymond. Then I believe it was Kyle Kuzma who's kind of checking Jonathan Kuminga, who's in the left corner, has to come out from his spot guarding Kuminga to the right block to stop Draymond's drive, and then Draymond senses that, so does Kuminga. Kuminga comes crashing in from the corner. Draymond throws a lob to him. It's an easy finish. That's 2 points. Like, a lot of the Kuminga buckets are created by the team, not necessarily just by Kuminga. So when I say, like, get Kuminga involved more, it's not just throw the ball to him in the post, but it's get looks like that a little more often. A lot of it was just kind of this haphazard, we're going to attempt this three-pointer. Steph feels like time to go hero mode because we're down by 8 in the fourth quarter. Like, no, there's plenty of time left. Just execute your best offense, get a look inside, and that's where Kuminga has been at his best. But the other thing is, it's one thing if Steph doesn't have his crazy efficient night shooting the ball, and he did not, and he's not going to be able to do that every night. He still led your team in scoring with 27. By no means was he terrible or even bad offensively. He hit some incredible shots. He scored 10 points in a 2-minute stretch in the third quarter to kind of bring the Warriors back. He had stretches of amazing play, as he always does. Jimmy Butler was largely inefficient, 7 for 18 from the field. The free throw line saved his day offensively, but you got not much else from anybody else. Again, Al Horford, he's kind of having a slow beginning to the season. 1 for 6 from downtown, 1 for 6 from the field, 1 for 4 from downtown. In 20 minutes, Al Horford was a minus 20. It's not all, one game plus minus doesn't mean a whole lot, right? Like, you can poke holes in a single game's worth of plus minus, but you're on the court for 20 minutes and your team gets outscored by 20 points in those 20 minutes. That's not a good sign. You also didn't get a ton from Buddy Hield, or you got nothing from Moses Moody. Moses Moody played just 10 minutes, was 0 for 3 from the field. All were 3-point attempts. When that's the case, you're not getting your secondary scorers working, and one of your primaries are working, then, lean on the primary a little bit more. And I felt like it was a little one-sided offensively in the fourth quarter. It was just all Steph Curry. All Steph Curry is what it really was. You also got nothing from Quentin Post, as I see that text that just came in on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, the 510. The bad performances were Post, 0 points, Horford, 3 points, and Moody, 3 points. Yeah, I mentioned Horford and Moody. I didn't mention Post. The Warriors also went away from Post. He only played 9.5 minutes despite starting in this game. The quickness and the athleticism of Milwaukee kind of took Quentin Post out of this basketball game. Al Horford played 20, but he was, frankly, we can be honest, he was bad in his 20 minutes. So it was not much from the bench, and only one starter was really efficient from the field. And you turned the ball over 22 times. Really, really hard to win when you do that. The fact that it was a 2-point game with 4 minutes left, simply a testament to the Warriors at the free throw line. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got more Warriors wrap up. Mark Randy with you here on 95.7 The Game. The Dubs fall to the Bucks. Final score 120-110. We'll hear from Steve Kerr coming up when we return. A rough one for the Warriors, who are now 4-2. For my money, the first real ugly loss of the year for the Dubs. The loss in Portland was not pretty by any stretch. Maybe the better word is the first surprising loss of the year. Because the game in Portland, you can kind of understand it. You can understand it because it was a back-to-back, first back-to-back of the year, third game in 4 nights. Tonight, though, you're not super rested. You've played a lot of basketball to begin the year, but you did not play last night. You've got a fully healthy squad, and you're going up against a team that isn't great even when fully healthy, and they're down their superstar in Giannis. So this was a game that I think you went into it expecting to win, and you didn't. A surprising loss for the Warriors in this one. Okay, time for a break. Warriors wrap up. Mark Randy with you. Back with more after this right here on 95.7 The Game.
The rebound for Draymond Green. Hands it off to Steph. Kick ahead. Butler gets a screen from Horford. Takes it to 10. Blocked by Turner. Horford offensive rebound. Out to Steph. Catch and shoot. Right wing three. Good! 106-104. Steph with a deep three.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
That was Kevin Dana on the call, doing a great job filling in for Tim Roy. Yeah, that was the three that I was talking about. 4:03 left in the fourth. Steph's three off the Horford offensive rebound made it 106-104 Milwaukee. Again, with 4:03 left. At that point, it was a 2-point game. The rest of the game, though, it was, if I can do the math quickly in my head, 14-6. The rest of the way, and Milwaukee wins. Final score 120-110. They improved to 4-1. Milwaukee off to a good start. Despite no Giannis tonight, Warriors fall to 4-2. I saw this come across earlier on the YouTube chat, powered by First NorCal Credit Union, youtube.com/957 The Game. Apologies. I can't remember who said this, so I'm not trying to steal intellectual property from you. If you're still in the chat, let me know, and I will give you a proper shout-out. But I saw this earlier. The Warriors in the state of California, 4-0. The Warriors outside of California, 0-2. Because they lost to Portland. They lost to Milwaukee. They have wins in LA versus the Lakers, and they're perfect 3-0 at home versus the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and the Clippers. 4-0 in California, 0-2 outside of California. That continued today, of course, with the loss in Milwaukee. Up next for the Warriors is Saturday versus the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. The Pacers, obviously, coming off of that finals appearance, but they're without Tyrese Halliburton, still recovering from that Achilles that he suffered in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. That also should be a game the Warriors circle as winnable, much like tonight was, but again, you never know in the NBA. All right, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Dubs fall to the Bucks 120-110. The text line is chiming in. The Boxer and Gerson work injury attorneys text line. The 415 says, "Hey, Grandy, it seems like Ryan Rollins is your new Bucks man crush." I don't know why. I've been a believer in Ryan Rollins. It's just another feather in the cap of that Chris Paul trade was a mistake for the Warriors. It was the Jordan Poole trade that sent Poole, along with a first-round pick, and Ryan Rollins, and Patrick Baldwin Jr., if you remember, to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul. The Chris Paul slot turned into just a year of Chris Paul, and then they got rid of him, and they did not fill that salary slot. Didn't make a lot of sense. Made kind of sense in the moment because you figured you might be using that Chris Paul money slot for something else. They ended up not doing it. They just got off the Chris Paul contract, and they gave up a first-round pick and a couple of young players to do it. And one of those young players is Ryan Rollins, and he haunted the Dubs today with a career-high 32 points. He was 13 for 21. Had 8 assists as well to go with 3 rebounds. I'm a fan of his, and it's not just because of what I saw tonight. It's not just because of what I saw him do against the Knicks. He was great, by the way, defensively against Jalen Brunson versus the Knicks. He now has back-to-back games setting new career highs in points scored. It's what I saw him do at the tail end of his time in Washington. I know there was some trouble off the court, but it's specifically what I saw him do last year with Milwaukee, and specifically in the playoffs as well, when I thought he was, sneakily playing some good basketball. So I'm a fan of Ryan Rollins. I threw it out there this summer that I thought the Warriors should think about bringing him back. It ended up not happening. It was a crazy Warriors offseason, but I don't know. I'm not one to victory lap, but I guess I'm kind of victory lapping right now. I might have been right about Ryan Rollins, is all that I will say. 888-957-9570. Dubs lose 120-110. They're 4-2 on the year. Still a good start to the season, but this one is a rough one. You lose to Milwaukee without Giannis. This is a game that you circle as one that you should absolutely win. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's go out to Eric in Millbrae who wants to weigh in. What's up, Eric? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, what's up, man? Just a disastrous loss tonight. When you got an MVP like Giannis out for the opposing team, these are the type of games you have to handle. There's no excuses. I don't care about travel, back-to-back. If you're a good team, these are the type of games you have to win, and every game counts because as we know, in the Western Conference, how tight-knit everything is, 1 or 2 games can be the difference between being the 2 seed or being the play-in because all these teams are fully stacked. as we've known. And the Warriors, if they don't handle their business, they're going to be having to fighting throughout the play-in once again. Just you can't handle it. I know Rollins is a good player, but and I think the Warriors should have signed him. And you, as you mentioned so distinctively, why the situation occurred with the CP3 trade. But nonetheless, you can't allow that. I mean, he really was hitting daggers all game. And at some point, you got to be able to buckle down on the guy because he's their main only option. Without Giannis on the court, obviously, you got guys like Kuzma, but those type of they're role players who are inconsistent. So you kick one away like this, the Warriors, you got to handle your business, man, because the Western Conference, we know, is going to be a bear. And every little loss like this, you're going to be looking back at the end of the season when you're battling for the play-in seat. Why didn't we take care of business like we should have? So hopefully they buckle down. You're playing the Indiana team next who's winless, and they better not have a letdown. Kerr's got to lock into these boys and know we can't just get up against the good teams. And we know Milwaukee's a good team with Giannis playing, but without him, you should be able to manhandle them. So I'm expecting the Warriors to come out with a rejuvenated mentality starting against the Pacers because this is unacceptable, man. If you're a good team, you got to handle your business against these type of teams, and no excuses of travel or anything like that. So we'll see. Hopefully they bounce back from this, but just all in all, disastrous loss for them. Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Eric. You know, I think there's a lot of Warrior fans who probably are nodding their head listening to you right now. And I get it. Like, I'm not sure I'd go as far as saying disastrous. Like, this is not something that changes my opinion on what I think the Warriors are capable of this year. Was tonight ugly? Yes, absolutely it was ugly. It was the worst game the Warriors have played all season. Now, we're only 6 games in. That's not saying a whole lot. I know the game in Portland also was not pretty. They lost that game by 20. They lost tonight by 10. I happen to be a pretty big fan of the Blazers. I think they're going to blow past their win total. They're over-under this year. I think they're a quality basketball team, and we might see them in the play-in mix this year. The madness with Chauncey Billups and that whole scandal might factor in. But I like the talent that they have, and that was on the back end of a back-to-back. You didn't have Al Horford in that game. You just coming off of the emotional overtime win at home versus Jokic and the Nuggets the night prior. Like, that one is more understandable and, you know, no excuses, but it is a little more excusable than this one. You did not have a back-to-back tonight. You're not necessarily incredibly fresh because you've just played 5 games over the course of 8 nights. And you just played, you know, you played a lot of basketball to begin the season, and you traveled to Milwaukee. Milwaukee is never the easiest place to play, but Milwaukee, without Giannis, they're already without their starting point guard in Kevin Porter Jr. That's another thing. Like, I've been talking about how much I like Ryan Rollins. He's not even their starter because he's only starting because Kevin Porter Jr. is out. Now, when Kevin Porter Jr. comes back, I believe he's dealing with a calf strain, if memory serves. When he comes back, maybe Ryan Rollins is playing well enough to not give that job back. That's certainly a possibility. But the point is, this is the Bucks team that had to rely on a guy that they didn't even expect to be their starter this year to win a game versus the Warriors, who were 4-1 with wins over the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and the Clippers already. Like, this was a game the Warriors, on paper, should win. Now, that's on paper, and they don't win. That's why you play the basketball games. But this was a rough one, no doubt. So, Eric, I feel you in terms of this being a bad performance tonight. But, again, I don't want to overreact to just one game and say, well, everything that we saw the Warriors do through 5 games, that's now down the toilet. This is a disaster. Kerr needs to wake them up. Like, all right, let's take a deep breath. They're 4-2, right? They're 4-2. They're on pace right now. You know, they're 4-2 through 6 games. That means that they are on pace to be 8-4 through 12, 16-8, 32-16. Like, this is currently on pace. I know that's not the same thing, but the Warriors are in a spot where you feel all right about where they are despite tonight's loss. Now, would you rather them be 5-1? Of course, you'd rather them be 5-1. But this is a long season, and I think one thing to remember, generally this is going to be, I think, you know, on back-to-back games and in games where the Warriors choose to rest players and all that. There will be nights, though, where the Warriors just don't have it on a given night. And sometimes maybe they determine it's not worth chasing. What particularly makes tonight maybe more frustrating than it should have been is because they actually chased after this one. Steph Curry started the fourth quarter on the floor. You know how rare that is? I know that there were those moments. It wasn't last year, but it was the year prior, if memory serves. Actually, maybe it was at one point last year when the Warriors were in the middle of that really rough stretch. It was pre-Jimmy Butler. But when things are going all right for the Warriors, they hardly ever mess with Steph Curry's rotation pattern, right? Normally, at this age of his career, he plays the first 8 minutes of the first quarter. He sits for the final 4 of the first quarter and the first 4 of the second. So he plays 8, he sits 8, then he comes back in and plays the final 8 of the second quarter. So it's 8 minutes on, 8 minutes off, 8 minutes on in each half, right? So that's 16 minutes played in each half, 32 minutes a game. That's generally the structure for the Warriors. Steph Curry followed that structure through 3 quarters, right? He played that same structure in the first half, then he played the first 8 minutes of the third, then he sat for the final 4 of the third, and then instead of sitting until the 8-minute mark of the fourth, he began the fourth quarter on the floor. He began the fourth quarter on the floor, and he did not sub out until there were 8.5 minutes left in that fourth quarter. And then he came back in just a minute and a half later. So Steph Curry and Steve Kerr went for this. They chased it. And Steph ended up playing tonight in this one 35 minutes. Not like an incredible amount, but Steph plays 35 minutes at 37 years old. You really want that to be a win. It's why the overtime win versus Denver was so meaningful, because Steph played a ton of basketball, and they didn't. They if they had lost that game, it would have been disastrous. Again, maybe disastrous is too strong of a word because it's so early in the season. But when Steph has to expend that energy, you want it to be a win, because just like what happened in that Portland game the next day, you lost and you looked very flat. That's what happens to a team of this age. So I think the fact that you had to chase this with Steph and it didn't work, it hurts you, because now you wonder, well, maybe Steph isn't as fresh for Indiana. Now it's not a back-to-back. You do have tomorrow off before you play Sunday. I get that, but we'll see how it all plays out. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling here on the phones, and then we will hear from Steve Kerr coming up in just a little bit. Mozzie, apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. Mozzie in Berkeley, you're on Warriors Wrap-Up. What do you got?
Bolsey, would it be, brother?
Oh, Bozy.
No problem. Bolsey.
Gotcha. What do you got, man?
I want to say, brother, I'm very frustrated with Steve Kerr. He played Al Horford is 40 years old. What is this, 1995? Please, brother, we need to make some upgraded teams. We need to make a trade. I'm tired of losing to the garbage Milwaukee Bucks and teams that's not really competitive. When we're going to try to win the championship, Jimmy Butler, he's an old guy, and Draymond Green, they're not really consistent. I think it's time to make a trade. Okay, I've been waiting for a long time.
Really quick, Bozzy. So what trade do you want? Are you saying they should trade away Jimmy Butler?
I don't like Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green.
Why not? Why don't you like Jimmy Butler? Why don't you like Jimmy Butler?
They cannot shoot the 3-point shot very efficient. If I'm being honest with you, the 3-point shot is very not efficient. I rather deal with 3-point shooter. It's the new NBA. 3 or no 3. That's the way they play. I would rather make a trade. Try to get somebody like Markkanen from the Utah. That would be great.
Okay, Bozzy. Appreciate the call. And I encourage you to call back every Warriors wrap-up, Bozzy. I'd love to hear from you. I'm just going to say, I'm going to be honest with you. I flatly and very strongly disagree with you. Jimmy Butler was acquired by the Warriors, and not single-handedly, because there were a lot of other players and pieces that were playing well, but his acquisition was very clearly the turning point for the Warriors last year and has continued to be this year. Let me give you this, Bozzy. The Warriors' record when Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler play together. This includes the playoffs, and it includes tonight's loss. When Steph and Jimmy play together, the Warriors are 31-10. 31-10. You know what? That's a perfect number, because that is half a season. That is 41 games. When Steph and Jimmy play basketball, The Warriors are on pace to win 62 games. They're on pace to go 62-20 over the course of a season. Like, I get that this is not necessarily like the perfect Warriors roster. And Bozzy, you were talking about why are they playing Al Horford. Al Horford through 6 games, he's only played 4. He's not having a great start. Like, I'm not denying that. But let's also not overreact to 6 games worth of a sample size. 6 games in which the Warriors have won 4 games, by the way, against really good opponents. They've beaten the Lakers, they've beaten the Nuggets, they've beaten the Clippers, they've beaten the Grizzlies. Those are all 4 teams that hope to be in the playoffs, and one in the Nuggets, who I've picked to win the championship this year. Like, the Warriors are undoubtedly off to a good start this season. They're 4-2. Good start for the Warriors. So I'm not overreacting to anything about Al Horford. Was he good today? No, of course not. Has he been good so far this year? No, and he would agree with you if you asked him that. I definitely am not going to say trading Jimmy Butler is the decision or is the right answer. There's no real problem here in the first place. The Warriors, when Steph and Jimmy play together, are 31-10 on pace to win 62 games over the course of a season. And that includes playoffs, by the way. If you just want the regular season, the Warriors are 26-7. 26-7 when Steph and Jimmy Butler play. The Warriors are a very good basketball team. Tonight, they were not. But over the course of a season, if this group is healthy, they're going to be a very good basketball team. All right. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. I promise to not come at you like I just came at Bozzy unless you say something ridiculous again. I love you, Bozzy. Call back next time. 888-957-9570. For now, though, let's hear from Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. He addressed the media postgame in Milwaukee after the Warriors' 120-110 loss. Here is Coach Kerr.
Well, his speed gave us a lot of trouble. He got past us. Penetration, either scored at the rim or, kicked it to shooters. He was fantastic tonight. Just played a great game.
What do you think was the biggest issues?
I'm sorry?
Biggest issues for y'all tonight?
It looked to me like fatigue, mental, physical fatigue. It did not look like our team out there. Our spacing was bad. It didn't feel like we had our usual pop. And I thought Milwaukee was brilliant. I mean, they made 19 threes. They made one tough one after another down the stretch. But we let them hang around for too long, and that was the problem. And, it's what we talked about before the game. Anytime a team plays without its star, a team is going to be out there with nothing to lose, firing shots. A lot of guys getting extra minutes, feeling good, and I thought they did a fantastic job of creating offensive rhythm and playing without fear and knocking down big shots. And then and we didn't handle our switching very well. Our defense struggled tonight when we got, they were small, so we went to an all switching coverage and lineup, and we'll have to watch the tape, but I didn't feel like we did a great job there.
Steve, speaking to your point, and you mentioned the mental fatigue, but how much of what happened do you think was Giannis wasn't out there and mentally guys were just like, this is...
Well, it shouldn't be that way because we're like 0-12 the last couple of years when the stars don't play. I just told our coaches if I was an opposing coach, I would just sit the star every time. These are games that as a coach, as a staff, as soon as you hear that the star is out, you're terrified because we've just seen it a million times. Every NBA team is loaded with talent. You saw those guys out there, firing threes, and everybody can play in this league. And when the star sits, everybody gets excited. This game did not surprise me, frankly.
Do you think the fatigue played a part with the turnovers tonight?
Yeah. I think, like I said, it's our 6th game in 10 days to start the year. A lot of travel. And I'm not using as an excuse. I'm just stating as a fact. I didn't think we looked like the team that that I just watched the last couple games. Looked a little bit more like the team in Portland. There's gonna be these games, for everybody. every team in the league is in an 82-game season where everybody's playing at such a high pace and playing so hard. There's going to be games where the mental focus isn't quite there, and tonight was one of those games for us. So we've got to regroup and bounce back in Indianapolis.
All right, that's Steve Kerr post-game in Milwaukee today. And, yeah, he mentioned Indianapolis. That's coming up on Saturday. Warriors in Indiana taking on the Pacers. That game coming up again on Saturday here on 95.7. The game is a 4 o'clock start, which means Warriors Live starts at 3, and I've got you covered at 3 here for Warriors Live coming up on Saturday. Warriors at Pacers, 4 o'clock tip time here on 95.7 The Game. Steve Kerr, I hadn't heard that yet, but I was talking about it off the very jump here for Warriors wrap-up, talking about when the opposing star sits. It's just kind of a natural human reaction to let your foot off the gas, and he said, frankly, I'm not surprised by the result today. Steve Kerr has said on multiple occasions he absolutely hates it when the opposing stars don't play versus the Warriors, because it's just, I suppose, natural for a team, especially a team like the Warriors, who maybe tries to search for games where they can take it easy just a little bit, where they can coast to a win, considering their age. But you can't do that in the NBA because there are pro players in all these rosters. And tonight, you found out, if you didn't already know, you found out that Ryan Rollins is a legit pro. You found out that A.J. Green can hit some threes. You found out that Miles Turner, newest Milwaukee Buck, is still a pretty darn good player. Of course, we know him from when he was with the Pacers, where the Warriors go next. But you found out that Taurean Prince can hit some threes. Cole Anthony, who they picked up in free agency after he was bought out by Memphis. Cole Anthony was on Orlando, traded to Memphis as part of that Desmond Bane trade that sent Bane from Memphis to Orlando. Memphis bought Cole Anthony out. Bought him out, paid the rest of his contract, and told him to get the hell out of here. This is not a fit here. And then he signed with Milwaukee, and he had a pretty good game today as well, scoring 16 points. There's pros, and there's players that can hurt you on every roster beyond the superstars. So that's what the Warriors found out today. It also doesn't help when you don't get a ton from, again, your others. Quentin Post, 0 for tonight. Moses Moody, 0 for tonight. It was good to see Buddy Hield get a couple of threes to go. He had been really struggling. Buddy Hield, I have these numbers here. Let me find them. Buddy was 5 for 10 from deep versus the Lakers on opening night. Since then, including an 0 for 1 start tonight, was 1 for 14 from downtown. 1 for 15 including tonight. 1 for 14 in the next 4 games. Buddy Hield from deep, 0 for 1 to begin tonight, 1 for 15 at one point. Then he made 2 of his final 3. So maybe that will get him going, because that would make a big difference for the Warriors going forward. A tough one, no doubt. A tough one for the Warriors today in this one. I also, I don't mean to keep harping on that call that we got, and maybe it was a troll, and I shouldn't spend more time on it. It's funny, because I meant to mention this as well when I heard our caller Bozzy talking about it, and I saw this come in on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. Where is it here? From Empire. Empire talked about Jimmy's three-point shot, because our caller said the Warriors should trade Jimmy because they don't have enough three-point shooting. Jimmy Butler on the year, including tonight when he made a 3, he was 1 for 2, is shooting 57% from deep. 57% from deep is Jimmy Butler this year. He's having a hell of a season from downtown. He's been really good. He's been really good from deep. In fact, he shot better from deep than he shot from 2. In fact, he's shooting better from deep on the year than he's shooting from the field as a whole, which means he's way better from deep this year than he is from 2. Jimmy Butler, his shot looks a whole lot better from the outside so far this year. 1 for 2 tonight, was 3 for 4 on Tuesday from downtown, 2 for 4 versus Memphis. Only one game this year where he has not made a 3, and that was the game in Portland 6 nights ago on Friday when he was 0 for 2 from deep, and the Warriors lost that one. So Jimmy Butler, crazily enough, has been one of the Warriors' best three-point shooters. By percentage-wise, definitely. By volume, not so much, but percentage-wise, he's been very good from downtown. Again, just to circle back before we get on out of here for the night, circle back to, I think, something that was odd for the Warriors in this game. It was Jonathan Kuminga's usage and the way the Warriors deployed him. I thought he was, honestly, and I I don't mean to overreact. I think you guys know me. I'm not one to overreact and to come to a sweeping judgment or conclusion. I thought the first quarter for Jonathan Kuminga was one of the best quarters that he's played. Not just this season, but like in memory. There's obviously a handful of really great quarters that Kuminga has played as a pro. But I thought the first quarter tonight was really good. He had an offensive rebound. He was in transition, pushed the ball, found a cutting Jimmy Butler for a lay-in. Late shot clock defense versus Miles Turner. Did not bite on the pump fake, forced a shot clock violation. He hit a right wing three in rhythm off of a Draymond drive and dish. And by the way, that possession began with Kuminga trying to back down Green. AJ Green, the 3-point marksman for the Bucks, tried to back him down, could not get an edge. Noticed that, kicked the ball out. Then eventually it found him again, hit the right wing three. He perfectly timed a cut from the corner off of a Curry double team and a dump off from Draymond from the right wing. Got a defensive rebound and then just simply ran and beat everyone down the floor for a fast break score. The next possession, he backed a defender down for a spinning lane. I thought Kuminga had one of the best quarters of his career in that first quarter. And it wasn't as amazing in the second and in the third, but it's not like he was bad. He had 5 turnovers. I think 2 of them were ones where you're like, all right, JK, I feel you. That was just out of aggression and kind of a bad luck bounce the way that it went. He had a couple of bad ones, as did almost everybody tonight for the Warriors. Curry had 5, by the way, but they didn't go to him in the fourth quarter. His first field goal attempt in the fourth was with 2 minutes to go in the game, the Warriors down by 11, and he had played 8 minutes in the fourth quarter at that point. He had played 8 of the 10 possible minutes up to the 2-minute mark, and he had not attempted a field goal yet. That, to me, is inexcusable when you don't have efficiency elsewhere from your offense. Kuminga was your only efficient option. Let's see if I can do this math quickly, and let me bring out my calculator to give you the official percentages. But the Warriors as a team were 36 for 85. Kuminga was 7 for 11, which means the Warriors not named Kuminga were 25 for 74. Pardon me, 29 for 74. 29 for 74. The Warriors not named Kuminga shot 39% from the field. Kuminga was 7 for 11 from the field. And I know it's not as simple as throw Kuminga the ball, get out of the way, and let him go to work. But I do think the Warriors could have gotten the ball to Kuminga a little bit more in this one, specifically in the fourth quarter. Would it have been the difference between a win and a loss? I don't know. But I think that they could have done that. I want to hear one thing from Brandon Pajemski really quick, and then we'll wrap things up. Before I do that, I should let you know that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station, always live on the free Odyssey app, and now broadcasting from the Laughing Monk Studios. Here is Brandon Pajemski talking about if it's hard to play hard when a star is out for the opposing team, much like Steve Kerr was talking about earlier.
Shouldn't be. It's our job. It's what we're paid to do. They got the same, thing over there. They're paid to play basketball too, and they got great players. So you just got to bring it every night, no matter who's out there.
All right, that's Brandon Pajemski. It shouldn't be, but it looked like it was for the Warriors in this one. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. There's one other thing I did want to mention. It's not lost on me, by the way, what Will Richard is doing. Will Richard wasn't, a crazy difference maker in this game. He played 12 minutes, scored 7 points. I mean, he didn't miss a shot. He was 2 for 2 from the field, including a made 3. Got to the line and made both of them. Didn't have a rebound, had an assist. This is not a Will Richard needs to be playing 30 minutes a night. I do think it is worth noting, though, that Will Richard is currently, I don't think supplanting is the right word just yet, but based on his usage tonight and Steve Kerr's decision, Will Richard might be taking Gary Payton II's role. Will Richard came off the bench before GP2. Will Richard played 12 minutes. GP2 played 3.5 minutes. GP2 is struggling to begin this year, much like Al Horford is struggling to begin this year, much like, Buddy Hield had been struggling. Tonight was a positive for Buddy. We'll see if he keeps it up on Saturday. But if Will Richard is playing like Will Richard has to begin his career, the Warriors' need for GP2, I think, is minimized a bit. And if GP2 is not playing the way that he has in the past in his career, then that's an easy decision for Steve Kerr and the Warriors. So we will see how it all plays out. All right, that's going to do it for Warriors Wrap-Up tonight here on 95.7 The Game. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Saturday. Warriors taking on the Indiana Pacers in Indianapolis, 3 o'clock with the Warriors live right here on 95.7 The Game. Tip-off is at 4. And thanks so much for tuning in. For my guy Cam Williams behind the glass, for Ken Luttrell getting that sound ready for us here on postgame, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy, signing off. Have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow right here on 95.7 The Game.
Had a good run. So she, we were talking about different things. She goes, "What were your favorite costumes as a kid?" And she said to me, "All right, what was your favorite?" And I said, "Oh my God, let me try to think." And I was thinking of a couple. She goes, "What were